Alors, mesdames et messieurs, bienvenue, willkommen, and welcome to this e-seminar on typography. And today we're going to be talking about not just typography, but how that works with Adobe's Creative Cloud. So we'll be having a look at how we use typography on the web and how things like Adobe's Edge web fonts work with some of our web tooling. We'll also be having a look at some of the new typographic capabilities inside applications like InDesign and Illustrator. And finally, we'll finish by gazing a little bit into the future and seeing what's coming down the line for typography as well within some of the Adobe toolset. So, without further ado, let me talk first of all a little bit about Adobe Edge web fonts. So Adobe, in collaboration with Google, has worked hard to bring over 500 fonts for free available to you for you to use on your websites, and we call that Adobe Edge web fonts. If you have a look at the screen here, all you need to do is to browse to edgewebfonts.adobe.com, and that will give you instructions on how to get started. You don't need an account to be able to use them. They're all there for you to be able to use. So these are high quality fonts that we're bringing. So now, rather than being restricted to maybe 8 or 10 fonts that are available on most default browsers, now you've got a huge collection of over 500 fonts available to you. Now, one of the challenges with using fonts with CSS has always been around the licensing and the complications around whether you've got the rights to use that, whether you have to pay for the rights, you may have the rights to use them in print, but you also have the rights to use them on the web as well. Well, here, Adobe here, we take care of that. So with the web fonts, we've taken some of Google's fonts and Adobe's fonts, we've brought them together into this one place. So let's go and actually show you some of those here. So we just click on the Get Started button here, and that will take us through to the web font browser. Okay, and here we can see what some of the fonts look like, and of course we can filter. If we look on the right hand side, we can filter the various fonts here. So if I want to find all serif fonts, for example, we'll click on the serif fonts here. If I'm looking for something that's suitable for headings, again, we'll just select the headings button and it'll filter those for me. Or maybe I'm looking for something for paragraphs, then again it'll filter that for me. Maybe we're going to go for a sans serif font. But we can also choose other things like the weight of the font and also whether it's condensed. So we want a condensed font, or, so we're just loading here. So these are quite condensed spacing. Or maybe we want an expanded font here. So these tools on the right, these filters, allow us to very quickly find the right font that we're looking for a specific purpose. We're also able to filter for different languages here down at the bottom here. If we go ahead and select one, so let me go for we'll go for one of these script style fonts, and we can also see what styles it's available in. So for example, if we look at this one here, Cabin, we can see that Cabin's available in italic, medium, medium italic, semi-bold, semi-bold, bold and italic. So we've got multiple ones that we can actually access here, whereas some of the more artistic fonts here are only available in one style. Okay, so let's say we want to choose Cabin. We click on that one, and then it now asks us, how do we want to use the font? Do we want all the characters or just the default subset? Now, it's worth knowing that if we just choose the default subset, then it'll be a smaller download, a smaller bundle, whereas all characters will include all the glyphs and other characters. So you may not need all the characters. We can also choose the default styles or select custom styles, and here I can choose which of the styles I actually want to have, regular, italic, etc. Or we just choose the default styles. And notice, as I make the changes, the code here, so the JavaScript code that we need to include changes dynamically. Okay, so as I turn these on and off, then the variations here are automatically changed for me. So this will automatically generate the JavaScript, but it'll also generate the CSS for me as well for including this cabin typeface. And that's all you need to do. copy that into your HTML pages, and you are good to go. So that's one way of using them, but we've also integrated this into just about all of our tools. So let's go and have a look and see how that works. So the first one we'll have a look at is Adobe Edge Animate CC. So we now have integration to Adobe's web font. So Edge Animate, for those that don't know, is our HTML5 animation tool. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add some text to here. So we'll just go and grab the text tool here. And again, I'll zoom in so you can see. And let's just draw out a text box here. And let me zoom out. Let's put in here planet Earth. Okay. And let's just move that over. So here we want the style. We want to change that type. So we go to the properties panel on the left-hand side, and under text. Now, notice here we've got the standard fonts that you find in a lot of browsers. But what we want to do is choose our own font. So we just click on the plus button here, add web font. And now it's going to take me to a similar interface to the one we saw just now. And this one, again, it will allow me to filter the fonts in the same way that we've just seen. But I can, so if we want to choose a script, we can go and do that. And then all we have to do, let's choose cookie, for example. Click on cookie. And notice instantly, as I select that, notice how Planet Earth instantly changes. So we're automatically there using the font that I'm selecting. So really easy to be able to integrate your HTML animations with real live web fonts. No need to convert this to a raster or a picture as we used to in the past. Okay, so that's it. Simple integration directly inside Edge Animate. Let's also go and have a look at Edge Code. So Edge Code is our HTML, CSS text editing tool. And here again, we've got integration with the Edge fonts. So let's just do a new style. So we'll do my new style. And all we need to do is we're just going to do font family. It's going to auto-complete. Now, it will come up with the standard list of fonts here. But notice at the top here, we've got Browse Web Fonts. So I click Browse Web Fonts. And again, we see the same interface that we saw in Edge Animate. It allows me to filter my fonts in the same way and pick a font. Click Done. And now it's added this to my CSS. And then what we also need to do is two steps, add it to the CSS, but we also need that JavaScript line as well. And to get that, if we come over here to the right-hand side, notice the T in the cloud, TypeScript in the cloud, effectively, not TypeScript, but the typefaces in a cloud. We just click on that button to generate the code, and now it will generate the code with the correct typeface in there. So all we need to do is cut and paste that, put that into my code, and again we are good to go with that. Okay, so that's Edge Code. We also have the same functionality in Edge Reflow as well. So again, very similar. If we select this text here, go to the text, go to styling. So I'm on the styling panel here. And here we go. Under typeface, we click on the plus and the same interface. So we're using a similar code base here. So let's choose bangers. There we go. And then you can see instantly we're able to see how that's going to look on our web page in this preview here as well. So again, really nice tight integration between the cloud-based services, because after all this is the Creative Cloud and our web applications. And this works also exactly the same way in Dreamweaver as well. Probably seen how it works now. I'm not going to go into Dreamweaver to show you, but very, very similar functionality. So please do go and have a look at Edge Web Font. Say it's free, there's no account needed to access it. We're adding new fonts all the time. It's based on Adobe's Typekit engine as well, which gives you things like cross-browser compatibility for different browsers and high-quality fonts there as well. So edgewebfonts.adobe.com. Okay, so let's move on and have a look at some of the features within the applications themselves that we've enhanced. So the first one we'll have a quick look at is Adobe Indesign. So Adobe Indesign, obviously there's a lot of typographic tools inside InDesign already, very high quality text rendering engine. But where we focus on this release is very much around making it easier for you to manage those typefaces. Often people have large collections of typefaces installed, and it can be quite hard scrolling up and down trying to find the font that you're looking for. Well, now we've improved the search capability and filtering capability inside InDesign. So just we'll select this text box here. Now if we just zoom in here so you can actually see this on screen, we've improved the searching capability in here. So if I go in here and I want to search for all italic fonts, I can just put in italic, and instantly it's now filtering automatically all the italic fonts for me here, even though the name doesn't start with italic. Maybe I want to find all pro fonts as well. So here, even though the words are back to front, italic pro, it searched all of the pro fonts, or all of the fonts with the word pro in, and all of the italics as well. Maybe I do thin as well. So it's a really good way. You don't even need to type all of the word. It's a really good way of being able to filter and quickly find the fonts you need. Now, once I have got my fonts here, the other thing it enables you to do is to favorite fonts as well. So you might be working on a specific project, or there may be certain typefaces that you find yourself using over and over again that you favor. Well, all I need to do is click on the little star here, and it'll add it to my favorites. And now, if we click on the show favorites only, then it'll just show the favorite typefaces that I've got there. So if you do have fonts working on a specific project, then again it can be a nice way of being able to filter those particular typefaces. The other thing is we've had for a while these previews. So in the font list we can see what the typeface is going to look like. Now, when I look at this list, it's only showing me, at the moment, it's only showing me the defaults, the regular typeface, if you like. And you've got multiple different weights and different styles within the font family. Then you don't see that until you click on the little expand arrow here. And now, for example, on the Avenir here, we can see we've got a whole variety of different weights, and obviously they look very different. Now, if I hold down the Command key on the Mac and click on the arrow, it will instantly expand all of the font families that I've got on my machine. So notice here how it's now expanded all of those. So at a glance now I can see within each family as well, all the different iterations within the family. So that's a really quick way of being able to have a look inside that. So that's just Command click on the little triangle, disclosure triangle there. One last thing here, if you don't like the way the search works, you can, of course, go back to the old way. So by default, search entire font name is enabled. But if you do prefer the way it used to work, then you can always switch back to search first word only. Okay. And this capability is also available inside the character panel. So the character panel here, the font menu, works in the same way as it does in the control panel above. Okay. So let's now go over and have a little look at Illustrator. So Illustrator, obviously being a vector drawing program, lends itself to really creating very imaginative typography, and allows you to convert those letters and words into shapes and do all sorts of special effects. So you can really do amazing typography in Illustrator because of the nature of the tool itself. And what we were finding was people they would take their letters, take their words, and they would convert them to outlines. So they're then breaking that link with the underlying text, and then they were making all sorts of special effects and distortions to those letters. The problem came that if you wanted to edit the words, or maybe change the typeface, then you would have to go back to the original text and make all those changes again. So obviously you were losing a lot of that work that you were doing. So we introduced, to try and be more creative with the typography, but maintain the text link underneath, we just introduced the Touch Type tool. Okay, so let's go and have a look at an example of how this works. So here we've got some text. We can see that some of the text here is rotated, and that's done using the Touch Type tool, which allows you to rotate, resize, and move letters relative to the other ones directly on the text itself. The text underlying is still there. I'm still able to go in and edit the text using the text tools. I'm still able to go in and make changes to the typeface. So let's have a look at an example right now. So here we've got, this is live text. We're currently using Mesquite Standard Medium here. And if I go to I can either go to the Type tool up here, press and hold, and select the new Touch Type tool, or hold down Shift and T for the Touch Type tool. Or if we go to the character panel here, and we've got this new button here, the Touch Type tool in the character panel here. Now, if I double or just click on the two little arrows here to expand the panel to its full height, it will also show me the various parameters here. And we'll see how these parameters change as I use the Touch Type tool. But the idea behind the Touch Type tool is I'm manipulating the letters on the canvas directly. So let's see it in action. So the first thing we need to do is select the text itself. Then we select the Touch Type tool. And now we can select individual letters. So let's choose this middle F. And now it comes up with these various control points around the letters. Each control point does something different. So if I choose this one, this allows me to rotate the letter. So we'll turn that F upside down, for example. This one allows me to change the vertical scale. And this one allows me to alter the horizontal scale and make it a nice wide letter. And then this one does both the horizontal and vertical proportionally. Now the final one, which is this dark blue, this actually alters the baseline shift. So I'm able to alter its relative position to the other letters. But notice how the other letters will also shift position to accommodate it as well. Now in the past, if you wanted to make these sort of changes, as I mentioned before, you would have to convert this to outline. You're then losing the text nature of those objects, of those words, whereas here we're maintaining that. So let's go in and make some additional changes. We'll change this here, maybe make this a little bit smaller, drag that in. But of course now if I just go back and select my regular type tool, click on here, I can still select these letters. I could in fact even change the typeface. So let's do that. We'll come down and let's choose something similar. Let's just choose this Rockwell here and we'll whack the size down a little bit. 350 should do a bit more. Okay, so you can see there the text, all the transformations are still there, but we're able to change the text. And of course I can come in here and we can edit this as well. Let's misspell cliffs there with a K. Now, if I just go back to the Touch Type tool, notice how I'm selecting the F here again. Notice in the panel how these transformations are also represented here. So if you want to go in and fine-tune the transformations, then you can do that using these panels here. So if you want to be precise in those, then you can still come in and make those changes directly inside the Touch Type panel or the Character Properties panel there as well. So really powerful tools there. And of course, it's, as I mentioned, it's all still live text underneath that. So, and that's exactly what we've done here. So again, we can select this R here and come in and change that rotation there if we want to. Okay. So really nice, powerful tools there. Okay, now let's also now have a look at another minor change, and in this time in Photoshop. And this is particularly important for people who are rendering images, using Photoshop to create images, especially around text for web-based output. Now, different computer screens render text in different ways, and what people were finding was that the way in which Photoshop was rendering text wasn't necessarily the same way that you were seeing it on a Macintosh, because when Apple Macintosh operating system renders text, it's using its own algorithms in the back. And what they were finding is people were creating pages and mock-ups in Photoshop, but then actually when they came to see a similar thing with real text on a web page, it was appearing differently. So what we've created is, let's just look at this text here, and we'll just zoom in to this text here. And let's choose the type tool, select the text. Now, if we notice under the anti-alias settings here, we've always had sharp, crisp, strong, smooth. And of course, each one is applying a different anti-alias algorithm. But what we've now added also is Mac LCD and Mac. So if you want to get an approximation, or much more realistic approximation of what it's going to look like on a Macintosh display, that option is now available. So when you create your mock-ups, you can choose that anti-aliasing algorithm, and then you show it to someone, and then they won't be surprised because it will look very similar when it's rendered on a Macintosh as well. So a small but potentially very important improvement there in Photoshop. Okay, so having talked about that, let me just zoom back out again. Let's talk a little bit around Typekit. So we talked about Adobe Edge web fonts, but one of the things that you get when you subscribe to Adobe's Creative Cloud is you also get access to Typekit as well. So Typekit includes not just 500 fonts, but it includes over 1,000 fonts. And with Adobe's Creative Cloud account, you will get the portfolio package, which gives you up to 500,000 page views per month, full access to the library, unlimited websites, unlimited fonts per site, and also supports SSL as well. So you get all of that included. Let's go and have a look at the Typekit functionality here. So Typekit, obviously aimed at rendering great web fonts directly on websites as well. And here we can do similar things. We can filter, we can choose different contrasts, we can also look at language support as well. And then if I choose one of these fonts, let's choose Cocoon for example, it will show me the different variations here. So here we can see we've got regular, regular italic, bold, bold italic. But it also gives me specimens at different type sizes as well, because obviously fonts appear, some work better at larger sizes than smaller sizes. So from my point of view, I can quickly see how is this going to work, how is it going to look at a small point size, how is it going to look at a larger point size. And we can also see how it looks on black, for example, or maybe grey on black, or maybe grey on white. So we can see how it's going to look. So if I've got a specific dark background in mind, some typefaces work better than others. But here, these are really tools to help you choose the right font for the specific project that you're working on. We also have a type tester here. So you can come in here and type your own text. If you've got a specific headline, for example, and you want to see how that's going to look, then you can come in here and try that out and change the text size there. And also browser samples, because of course the reality with today's web is that different browsers render text in different ways, but perhaps also surprising to many is that different browsers on different operating systems also render text in different ways. So what we've got here is we actually have previews for how it will look on different browsers. So here we can see how it would appear on Chrome on Mac OS X, or we can see how it appears on Safari or Firefox, or we can choose Windows or Windows Vista. Also we have Unix there as well. So different ways of seeing, slight variations, but again, this can be important, and just making sure that it looks right across the various different browsers is important there as well. So again, really easy to use these. You just place an entry in your CSS and a JavaScript include, and then you're able to take advantage of all of these great typefaces. Really simplified, and of course we're sorting out all of that licensing for you as well. Okay, so we've had a look obviously at Typekit, but what we're also doing is in the future we're going to bring some of these Typekit fonts to the desktop as well. So at the moment Typekit is just for web-based fonts, but we're also providing integration, and this is coming down the line, to be able to download these fonts and actually use them within printed-based projects as well. I can show you a little bit of how that's going to work today. So let me just let's go back to InDesign, and we're going to go to Adobe's Creative Cloud application. If you remember and you haven't got this application, it's worthwhile downloading. The Creative Cloud application brings all of your activity stream. It allows you to download all of the applications that are available on your Creative Cloud account. It also shows you if there are any updates available as well, so you can check that your products are up to date. But we'll also be adding font support as well. Okay, and here this is a preview release here I'm running. This allows me to see which fonts I've already got synced, or I can manage my fonts. So we click Manage My Fonts, it'll take me to the Typekit website, and here I can choose to remove fonts, or we're going to browse fonts. Now notice here on the right hand side we've now got this option for desktop use. If I choose that, it'll filter and show me all of the typefaces that I can use on the desktop. Not all of them are licensed for desktop, but this will filter and show you which ones are. So let's choose something really noticeable. Let's choose this Giddy Up Standard. And again, really simple to use this. All I do is click on that, click Use Font, and then on here we will see Sync to your desktop using Creative Cloud. Okay, so all I need to do is tick that, click Done, and now Giddy Up is going to be downloaded and installed and made available for use for me. So it's as simple as that. Obviously this isn't available today, but this will be coming shortly. Now let's go and see if that font is available. Let's go over to here. Let's choose this text, and let me just find out if it's available. There we go, Giddy Up Standard. Okay, and there we can see that it's now rendered that text there for me. Let's change that to black so you can stand out. So there you go, really easy. And of course these fonts are also available in other applications. So if you've got other applications on your operating system, they can also take advantage of these desktop fonts. If we go back to the Creative Cloud here, you can see that Giddy Up Standard, it sounds like I already had that font installed, but that's been that was tried to install it there. It's also should be on my Manage Fonts as well. So I already had that font there. But this is where you can come in and deselect them and change them as well. So some really powerful capabilities there, and again it's just that ease of use, that connectivity, that bringing those cloud-based fonts down to your computer, automatically making them available so you can use them in your projects, again across the different Creative Suite applications. Okay, so this session is being recorded. It will be played back. We are also taking questions, so please do feel free to put in a question if you've got one around typography. But I just wanted to really summarize what we've been talking about. Obviously, we've been looking at the Adobe Edge web fonts, a free service made available to you, whether you use our tools or other people's tools that we've collaborated with Google on. But I think the way in which it works with some of our Edge tools and Dreamweaver just makes it really easy to use, to be able to quickly find those fonts that you need. We've had a look at some of the functionality. There are additional new features inside Illustrator and InDesign, but how we can now, it's much easier to find and filter and favorite fonts inside InDesign. We also had a look at the touch tools inside Illustrator, so being able to make and manipulate words and letters directly in your pages far easier, and then maintaining that text underneath so you can come in and make changes to the words if you need to. And then finally, we obviously had a look into the future a little bit about how we can bring some of those great Typekit fonts to the desktop as well. Just leave you with this thought. Just remember that someone much more intelligent and wiser and wittier than me once said that great typography is not just a collection of beautiful letters, but is a beautiful collection of letters. Anyway, thanks very much for your time. Bye.